Hello, everyone, and depending where you're calling from, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to today's information session on leading urban change, housing, sustainable mobility, and transit-oriented communities. My name is Magda Sherman, and I am one of the program coordinators at the School of Cities. We are so excited to have you here to share more about our program, the opportunities it offers, and how it can help you achieve your goals. To begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items to ensure we have a smooth and productive session. Right off the bat, today's session will be recorded. Please make sure that your microphones are muted during the presentations to avoid any background noise. And of course, feel free to type your questions into the chat box at any time during the session. Additionally, there will be a dedicated Q&A session near the end of the webinar where you'll have the opportunity to ask your questions verbally using the raise hand feature, and our speakers will do the best they can to address as many questions as possible. And lastly, we encourage active participation. Please engage respectfully and be mindful of others in the session. The University of Toronto values freedom of speech. Individuals demonstrating inappropriate language or behavior will be removed from the session. You can find more on the U of T's policies for disruption of meetings in the chat box below. Now, to begin with our session, the Leading Urban Change program is facilitated by Karen Chapple, Director of School Cities and Professor of Geography and Planning at the University of Toronto, Lisa Helps, Executive Lead of BC Builds and former Housing Solutions Advisor to the BC Premier, as well as the former Mayor at Victoria, and Nouman Ashraf, Associate Professor of Organizational Behavior at Rotman. He's unfortunately unable to join us today due to an emergency. Today, we are joined by Karen Chapple, who is coming to us from the Treaty 13 territory, the traditional lands of the Huron-Wendat, Seneca, and Mississaugas of the Credit, which continues to be the gathering place of many Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples from across Turtle Island. We are also joined by Lisa Helps, who is coming to you from Victoria, BC, which is located on the traditional lands of the Laconan-speaking peoples, also known as the Songhees Nation and the Esquimalt Nation. As we envision the future of our lands and cities, we encourage doing so with values of reconciliation, equity, and justice in mind. Now, I'd like to turn the floor over to Karen Chapple.
Thanks so much, Magda, and welcome everybody. It's great to see you all here today, and hoping that you will engage with us and start thinking of your questions for us, because that's what we're here for, is to answer your questions. So the School of Cities has been offering various forms of capacity building and has now been going into leadership development. So this is Leading Urban Change is our leadership program where we teach urban professionals how to move their issues further, how to get their projects done and really realize their goals more effectively. It's a program we've been running for over a year. We run it twice a year generally, and we focus on different topics. We focus on all kinds of city building topics. This time, we've brought together a set of experts on housing and transportation, and that's because we have seen in our work that many of the programs that we have in Canada are very siloed, and we have people working on housing issues and people working on water or transportation or sustainability issues in their own kind of department, in their own tower. And we really realize that you have to kind of work across these silos in order to get work done. So we have opened up our program this time to folks working in both housing and transportation, with the idea that we can focus together on building complete communities and thinking through what are the best techniques and methods to build communities for all Canadians. Well, first of all, while we're discussing the program, please go ahead and put your own issues in the chat. What do you think are the biggest challenges in accelerating housing and or transportation solutions today. If you can just give us some idea what's on your mind in terms of the challenges of building equitable and complete communities. It would be great to hear from you all. So we just a overview of the program. This is basically a 6-week program. We have an orientation week online, and then we come together for 2 days of a very intensive session where we work together on joint problem solving and building support across different types of arenas. And we give you this kind of framework for overcoming your obstacles and moving your project forward. And you'll find that this is a very, very rich session, very interactive, where you get to know a number of different urbanists from across Canada but also make progress on your own issues. And then we send you back home, and the rest of the program is online. It will have 3 in-depth technical sessions with experts in partnerships, in finance, and in innovation, both governance innovation and technological innovation. And then we also offer coaching sessions. So between these kind of expert sessions, we will be coaching you so that you can best make use of the knowledge that is imparted to you by the experts. So who are you? You should be an urban professional. You can be from any sector. We typically work across all the sectors in these professional development courses. So we'll have private sector, not-for-profit sector, public sector professionals there. Most folks have at least 5 years, but more often 10, 15, 20 years of experience, but are at a point in their work where they feel a little stuck. And you might actually have the answers already. This is not about finding the answers. This is about finding the way to make progress. So finding the path forward together. So with that introduction, I want to move to my co-lead, Lisa Helps. Lisa, can you tell us a little bit about your work accelerating change in cities and the skills and tools that you have found most useful for driving change on the ground?
Great. Thank you, Karen. Good morning, everyone, or I guess good afternoon if you're in Ontario or anywhere other than BC. First of all, thanks for those of you who are putting your projects in the chat. It's really helpful to know what you're working on, what your challenges are. I've been responding to some of them there. Karen, well, of course, listening very intently to what you're saying as well. So yeah, we're thrilled to be delivering this course together. In terms of my work, as Magda said when she introduced me, I've had a range of roles. And maybe I noticed there's folks in the chat, someone who is in a political sphere, someone who seems to work in a city. So I was the mayor of Victoria, and in terms of accelerating change at the municipal level, the key, and this is one element that we'll stress, and you'll hear a lot about when you take the course, is the ability to collaborate effectively and the ability to build partnerships. And that's one of the things that I've learned over and over again. And it's easy to collaborate when you find like-minded individuals, and it's easy to build partners when you find like-minded individuals. And the real secret to success, to driving projects forward and making resilient, lasting change, is collaborating with and forming partnerships with people who are not necessarily like-minded individuals, who may have different value sets or different approaches, but who are ultimately trying to create livable cities and sustainable solutions for housing and transportation. So that's I guess key. When I was the mayor, really partnerships and collaboration. And in terms of the work I'm doing now, I think it's probably most relevant. Of course, drawing on my past political experience is interesting, but my job now, I literally have a mandate to quickly deliver housing. So I run a program called BC Builds, which has a mandate to deliver housing on publicly owned land. Rather than taking 3 to 5 years, which is the typical development process, we've got a mandate from government to develop housing in 12 to 18 months from concept to construction. And we're doing it. We've got hundreds of units across the province already under construction, including senior centers and neighborhood centers, transit-oriented development. So I think I still laugh about this, but Karen told me I was the lived experience person to help deliver this course. And hopefully the work that we're doing in British Columbia will be really useful to some of the projects you're working on in terms of delivering quickly, building quickly, and most importantly, looking for, and Karen talked about this in her introduction, complete connected communities. And we're really excited to link housing and transportation together. And really just, we're not just thinking about transportation as obviously SkyTrains or rapid bus, which of course are our key transit-oriented development, but all the ways that people move around cities, including things like bike networks, pedestrian networks. How do we integrate housing and all forms of mobility?
So, Lisa, why is it so darn hard to build consensus around complete communities?
That's a good question. I think it's hard when we come from an ideological approach about should. This is how cities should be. You should love density. You should love walkable cities. And because anytime people are told they should, there's in some instances a natural resistance to, well, don't tell me what to do. But if we start, I really love the kind of a show don't tell approach, and I can talk about our bike network in this example. So when I was mayor, we had a whole slew of painted bike lanes in the city, which didn't really do anything to protect people. We had our regular cyclists who had been riding bikes for their whole lives, riding, but we didn't have kids riding bikes. We didn't have seniors riding bikes. We didn't have young parents riding bikes with their baby on the back. And so we deliberately built an all ages and abilities cycling network. And if you actually, I had a breakfast meeting this morning and someone's like, I'm thinking of moving to Victoria. How's the cycling infrastructure here? And right now, after 8 years, you can get anywhere from anywhere to anywhere in a safe, protected network. And we at first we made a mistake and we talked about, oh, the bike lanes, they're so awesome, they're going to benefit you, you're going to be able to bike. Well, no one cared and people resisted. But then we just built them and we built more and we built more. And then all of a sudden there were these self-proclaimed advocates writing letters to the editor saying, I would never have gotten on a bike, but now me and my kid come downtown and he's 5 and he bikes safely in front of me. So it like that, sometimes you just, and we'll talk about this in the course, getting past that tipping point, having the courage to proceed. And then people become champions of their own cities when they see how their lives are improved rather than being told how their lives will improve. Bit of
I
a
love
long answer.
I love that example though. I love pilots. And we just don't do enough pilots. But also, what your story tells us about is the values we share. The values that cut across people that seem very different on the surface, but actually kind of want the same things for their family. They want safety, they want security. And so this is exactly what we do in leading urban change is we help you think about those shared values. We help identify them in your own communities. And then we help you think about what's the action that everybody can get behind. And then what are the levers for systemic change? Because it's great if everybody's behind something, but unless you can kind of find your way through all the obstacles and figure out where the power is and where the people in power are coming from, and then figuring out what Lisa likes to call soft power, how you can tap into your own soft power to remove those obstacles and to make that change. That's exactly what we do in this program.
Karen, I have a question for you. This is going to be our third time delivering Leading Urban Change together with Nouman, and arguably the world has changed a little bit in many ways since we first delivered it. So, why is Leading Urban Change important at this time? And what does that mean to you? Why are you so invested in helping to deliver this course and in co-leading?
Well, I see, of course, this is a pivotal moment for Canada, and we have mostly Canadians in this class typically, what we really need to have a sea change in Canada right now. We really need to turn the boat around, and you can see actually that many people are willing and interested now in making that happen. And you can also see that we have a lot of solutions out there. I mean, you asked me about affordable housing. I'll tell you about 100 ways to get there. We don't lack for solutions at all. We have kind of the technical piece down. It's just that we don't really know how to get there. How are we all going to link arms to turn the boat around?
Mhm.
And that's where Canada is a little bit stuck. And I think that's how we differ from other programs. So we are not the one telling you the top 10 ways to get housing finance or the three best ways to do joint development. We do have our experts and they will help you think about that, but it's really about your particular context, the people you work with, the relationships you need to build, and how are you going to do that? So it's really about leadership. It's not about technical solutions. And the way we give you these types of skills is first of all working with a very carefully selected group of faculty and peers that are working on problems just like yours, so that there's an incredible amount of kind of both vertical and horizontal learning going on at the same time. Um, and it's not like a conference or a webinar where you just sit there and take in information. It's really about building together a strategy that's going to work in your particular case. And then you come out of the program with some very specific assets. Hey, you get a certificate from the University
Mhm.
of Toronto. That's pretty cool. But you have connections that you'll leverage for the rest of your career. And we have people that are still working together from our previous programs, and also access to the experts. So you'll know that will open many doors for you, and you'll get tools like figuring out how to access your own soft power. So there's lots of things that will help you grow your leadership skills in this program.
Yeah, and let's just maybe dive a little bit more deeply in terms of building on what Karen just said, what participants will get. So Karen's outlined some of those things. Really, at our last session in the spring, it was the end of and this just emphasizes the points of networks and connections. It was the end of day two. We'd worked everyone and ourselves really, really hard. It is a deep, intensive dive, and I'll talk about in a moment some of the things that we do in that in-person session. It was 4:30. It was a beautiful spring day, and we thought everyone would be running out the door, and no one was leaving. Like no, first of all, everyone wanted a U of T baseball hat, School of Cities baseball hat, which they got, but no one wanted to leave the connections that they'd met because we'd had people from all over the country, and they were going to go back into their own cities. And part of that magic was the way that we worked together over that 2 day in-person session. And in addition to some of the things that Karen shared in terms of what you'll go away with, one of the workshops that I lead is essentially an obstacle removal workshop, which sounds about as boring as it can be, but it's actually not. We ask folks to map their projects, and some people do very elaborate drawings. Other people make just straight lines. It depends up to you how creative you want to be. And then we ask you to identify the obstacles, what kinds of obstacles they are, and I will preview this with different systemic levers for change and obstacles. And then, and this is really, I think, when we started to see the magic happen. Then we pair people up. If you come in a team, and that is a really good thing to do, if you can get 2 or 3 people together working on the same project and all come to the course together, that's really valuable because you start to build a shared understanding. So if you come with a team, you'll sit with your team and work through what are the obstacles, and then what are the actions you can take to remove the obstacles. And we literally have you peel off your sticky note obstacles and put on top the action obstacle. And then later in the afternoon, and this was a bit organic, we had people sit with different folks and roll out their maps and talk about their projects and then kind of interview each other. And the insights that were gained from that were really, really critical. And most importantly, for me, action is everything. We need to think, we need to deliberate, but ultimately we need to act. And so the whole point of doing these maps and these obstacles and these actions is you take them back to your community, to your workplace, and you're literally ready to go with the solutions that you've co-developed on your leadership journey. So that's another, I think, key tangible asset in terms of what you'll take away from spending time together with your peers. And one more thing, and Nouman would say this if he were here, and Karen alluded to it. It's kind of a 3-way learning journey. So there's faculty to learner, there's learner to faculty. We're going to learn as much from you as you will from us. And then there's learner to learner. So there's this kind of triad. Karen, talk about Karen's amazing, which is why I love to teach with her. Talk about some of the value stuff that you do. It's really powerful, and the storytelling.
Sure. So we have been working at the School Cities for a long time on helping people surface the values that draw people together. And we're very concerned about divisions, polarization, misinformation. And to counter that, we've been doing some thinking about what are the common threads. And, if you are, if we are encountering opponents to housing in our neighborhood, what is a way to speak to them about housing? Where are they coming from? And it's really about listening really hard. And then kind of backing off from your solution, from the action you want to take, going back to kind of the fundamentals of who are we as humans in this very confusing world, and figuring out what are those particular points of connection that can then help build a relationship, build trust, and then gradually move your issue forward. And one of the ways that we do this is through storytelling. And so, in fact, we're launching at the School Cities a new micro-credential in urban data storytelling this fall as well, because we feel like we're onto something, that we have if we can help you use your data, use your facts, and use your lived experience to put together a story that will speak to people and help build trust and help get buy-in ultimately for where you want to go. So that is built into these 2 days together. We'll have sessions on both storytelling and connecting over values. I really feel too bad that Nouman is not with us today. You can learn more about him on the Rotman website. He does a lot of leadership development, and he is just an extraordinary individual in helping you, kind of undo the systems that we are tangled up in, help you think really out of the box.
Yeah, he did such a powerful session last time, and we asked the class to give their feedback at the end of the session, and Nouman's mining case study was it's so powerful. So everyone's listened to us rant and rave about how awesome this course is and why they should take it. But why don't we go to Jordan? So we asked some of our participants from last time to share their thoughts on the program, and I think we've got Jordan queued up. And then maybe after that, we'd love to take your questions.
Leading urban change is important right now because we're running into a head. The systems that we have trusted and worked within for decades no longer work with Canada and with Canadians and the needs that we have today in our population. We really need to change the way that we look at things and change the way that we get back to the expectations that we have for Canada. It gives you insights into the methods that people utilize in different sectors, from city planners to CEOs. Everybody's focused on the same problem, and they bring together their shared experiences and perceptions to hash out what it looks like so that we can get a good view. I'm flown 3,000 kilometers to come in for this course. It's great to come here for 2 days and interact and connect, and then go back and maintain those relationships over the next 6 weeks remotely so that we can continue the work and continue breaking down some of those barriers. It's great to be involved in a program where the professors are as passionate as the students about how we can make an impact and giving us the tools so that we have a clear path forward in addressing those problems. What excites me most about this program is getting in a room with a group of professionals that are all passionate about making a change that we see as needed. It's a solution-focused workshop. It's teaming, not teamwork. We all take responsibility for the change that we want to see.
That's great. And Jordan is extraordinarily talented and working on actually on a new financial product to help first-time home buyers. And we are at the School Cities. We're doing a profile of his work right now, and that's something that we've added to the program is that we do case studies of your work and have our student team doing research and doing a little literature review for you. And we will, you'll see soon, we'll be posting the ones from the last class on our website. I want you to start putting your questions in the chat because I know you must be thinking about something or worried about something or just curious. So go ahead and put your question in the chat. But meanwhile, I wanted to make sure you got to know Gabriela. She is our senior education officer and she conducts one-on-one meetings. So if you're too shy to ask right now, she would be happy to meet with you, and there'll be a link in the chat for those meetings. And Gabriela, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. Thanks, Karen. Hi, my name is Gabriela, and I'm the Senior Education Officer at School Cities. I specialize in education development, continuing and professional learning, and instructional design. So in my capacity as the Senior Education Officer, I oversee the school's professional programming, and I'm here to support you with any questions you may have about your workplace initiative or about the program. And if there's anything else you want to follow up with me on, I'm glad to meet with you in a one-on-one or just send me an email and I could also respond that way. Thanks. Back to you, Karen.
Great. And we have a question in the chat from Jennifer. Thank you about the time commitment for the course. So the course material itself is delivered in about 24 hours of instruction, about 16 hours together, and then about 8 hours in our online sessions. And then you have a workbook. And we've designed an elaborate workbook that helps you kind of integrate the learnings from each session and see what it means for your own project. So you have that workbook. You can spend 15 minutes on it a week, or you can spend 6 hours on it a week, and it's really up to you how much you put into it. So it's very flexible, and I'd say on average we saw folks doing maybe an hour of homework a week, something like that.
Yeah, there is some pre-reading before the in-person session, which you will benefit from doing before you show up. So there's a little bit of extra input at the beginning of the course, and then of course the 2 days they're back to back. I think it's a Monday and a Tuesday. Yeah, so you'll need to show up and dedicate yourself wholeheartedly for those 2 days. Um, Another question in the chat, we would welcome if you want to unmute yourself, turn on your camera, and ask us a question right into the group when we gather together in the course. It's very interactive, very dynamic. We'll start every class with some music. One of the things that our learners from the last 2 sessions have said about the course is, oh, this is not what I expected, and they meant it in a good way. So feel free to make yourself vulnerable. We want to create a safe space, both in the info session, but certainly in the course. But in the meantime, there is another question in the chat, also from Jennifer. Thank you. Are there any evaluations? Do all participants receive their certificate at the end, or is it based on merit?
It is automatic. You finish the course and you get the certificate. So there's no assessments. That's a different form of certificate at the University of Toronto. And so this is essentially a certificate of completion, and it goes to everybody.
Great. Yeah. And just in terms of, are there any evaluations? Not evaluations, as Karen said, but there's lots of feedback. There's feedback from the faculty, there's feedback from your peers, there's feedback from the guest experts. And actually this goes to the next question a little bit. It's a very expensive course coming from a nonprofit. Where would you say the highest value of the course comes from? My guess is connections. Yeah, absolutely connections. Also the skills and tools that we will provide you with in the 2-day session. But also the guest experts, and we haven't talked about that yet. They're on our website, but maybe I'll just share, if I can here, who will be coming to join us, and the benefit of engaging directly with those folks. Sharing. I'm not
shared.
Oh, there
Yep.
we go. Oh, I had, okay, perfect. There they are. So yeah, the value is, of course, we hope that Nouman, Karen, and I, as the core faculty, will be able to offer lots to you, but 3 people are never enough for a whole series of challenges that you're facing. So we've got an exquisite session on partnership led by Maddie Simiataki. And then another intervention by Fran Hunt-Janucci on partnership, which is both of those are standalone sessions. Maddie is a very skilled faculty. Actually, Karen, why don't you talk about him? He's your colleague. You can talk about these guys. I'll jump into governance maybe.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Maddie is the world expert on partnerships, and really public-private and nonprofit partnerships, 3P partnerships. He is an expert at stacking different types of expertise, different types of access to finance across these different institutional forms, and figuring out ways for it to work together. And he deals in complex projects. He's often working on a housing over a fire station, or nonprofit arts organization that wants to share space with a school. Then how do you then get these different types of organizations to work together well? So he has a very rich set of exercises that he makes the learners go through with him, and provides a lot of insight into your own projects.
And then Fran Hunt-Janucci is the executive director of the Coalition to End Homelessness on Vancouver Island, and she talks about building partnerships across very difficult and complex scenarios. And I see there's a question in the chat from Richard about that. We'll come to that in a moment. It's a good question. On the governance side, we wanted to bring in someone from TTC, someone from TransLink in British Columbia, and then to give sense of a bit of a different housing and transportation context. Wells Lawson has the responsibility for building affordable housing on transit-owned land in LA. So those 3 will do a deep dive into how do we set ourselves up for governance success when we're thinking about housing and transportation together. Sorry, this is a really long-winded answer to what you're going to get and the value of value for money, essentially. And then on the finance side, partnerships are important, good governance is important, but no one can do anything without money. And so we've assembled this group of experts, really diverse. One is private capital. One, David Cooper, works for mobility organization. And then we've got the Canadian Infrastructure Bank as well. So that's part of the value for money. And these folks are very generous. They don't just come in for 2 hours and then leave. They've offered to follow up with you, to have a side meeting. And in fact, some of our folks from the last session made some connections. And I think there was even some deal flow from the finance session to some of the other projects.
Yeah, and as you're reading Richard's question about consensus building, Lisa, I'll just mention just on the cost side that we have coaching. We provide coaching. We'll do case studies for you if you like as well. And the pricing is really about a leadership development program, and that's why when we looked at where do we place this, and we looked at Rotman and we looked at Schulich, and we're an Ivy, and we're actually still below them, but because we understand that we have a lot of non-profits that want to work with us, but it is a leadership development program from the University of Toronto, the foremost university in the country, and so we didn't want to undercut ourselves. By the way, there are discounts also. So we have group discounts, we have not-for-profit discounts, and you can stack those a bit as well with the early bird discount. So there are ways that we can help you as well. So consensus building and people on different coming from different areas. When I read that question, Lisa, I thought, what is truly efficient and in the best interest of the community? And the issue is that there's a diversity of ideas about what's in the best interest of the community. It's a hard one.
Yeah, Richard, it's a great question. And I think it's in day one of the in-person session, I go through a series of case studies from my time as mayor, and the first 3 or 4 are focused on using soft power, building consensus, except like all of those ways that work in certain circumstances. And then I talk about another couple examples of where that doesn't work. The key and where you need to use what I call hard power, which is to say, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, we will do this. The key, though, and I think this is hopefully what one of the offerings that I can give based on my experience and in that in-person session, is knowing the difference. When do you use soft power and collaboration and consensus building, and when do you not? And I think that's a key discerning moment for a leader, to know which kind of power do you exert in which kind of circumstance. And again, we'll walk through some case studies that can help answer that question. So absolutely, consensus building is important, but sometimes it doesn't work and it's not going to get you anywhere, and you're going to spin your wheels. And so then there are other tactics and approaches that can be used. Why don't we take down the slide now so we can see everyone again? And again, feel free to unmute, put up your hand, ask a question directly into the group, or keep using the chat. We're happy whichever way you'd like to proceed. Jennifer, thanks for turning on your camera. Hi, Richard. Thanks for joining us. Anyone have anything else you'd like to ask? Oh, welcome, Mohammed. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Do you have any questions for us about the course?
No, I just checked it out with ChatGPT about the course price. I think it's around $4,000.
Mm-hmm. 3,800.
Yes. Yes. I'm a newcomer. I started living in Canada around 7 months. And try to participate to City of Toronto. I'm in the Don Mills and Eglinton in Toronto. And also I joined in some community. One of them is the Japanese community. By the way, for me as a newcomer is a big amount, but I try to find some courses or some events to join to learn more regarding the Toronto.
Great. Well, welcome.
Also, I visited Victoria 3 months ago.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes, it's a very nice place. I visited Calgary. After that, with bus came to the Vancouver and with ship to Victoria and come back to Toronto via train from Vancouver to Toronto.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a
Yeah,
cool trip.
it's a wonderful trip. Yes.
Yeah. Great country.
Yes, yes, it's a very good capacity on it.
Yep. I think we will begin to wrap up. I just want to make a note again that the early bird deadline is September 1st. So that's coming up in less than 2 weeks. And then there's a application deadline of September 10th. But there's a big discount with the early bird, so hoping you can apply by that deadline. And please do take advantage of Gabriela's time. She is standing by, ready to speak with you more about the program and answer any questions you have.
Assad has a question in the chat. Municipalities are having some funding constraints when it comes to building community infrastructure. And we are exploring more public-private partnerships. Absolutely. That's great. Yeah, condo housing development with a rec center or library as a tenant. Maddie will talk a lot about that, about case studies of projects that he's been involved in. And then also the Canadian Infrastructure Bank or Canada Infrastructure Bank does some really, really interesting financing to support public-private partnerships. And our colleague from there will have some good thoughts to share as well. Any other questions that we can answer before we wrap up here?
Real quick, do you have a capacity limit for?
Great question. We keep it small. We don't want to have more than 25. We would anticipate somewhere between 20 and 25.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mari.
Yeah, hi. I have a quick question. This is Manny from Region of Durham, manager of Rapid Transit and Active Transportation. We are planning to develop a rapid transit corridor that has a potential for TOD component. So we are also thinking if there is a potential to bring in developers as well as part of investors, like a DBFOM model. Is there a potential to learn from you guys some of those models and how we can be success rates and at a high level? Yeah.
Yes. Both Sabrina on the governance side from TransLink and the folks in the finance session will talk about that.
And Wells too from Los Angeles.
And Wells from exactly, Wells from Los Angeles. And the other thing, this might seem a bit odd, but we like teams, and so and this is the part that might seem a bit odd. If there are some developers that you're potentially working with who could take the course with you as part of your team, maybe they can foot the bill for you. That would be really, really powerful because then they're learning along with you. So when you think of putting together a team to take the course together, it doesn't necessarily have to just be like 3 people from the same institution. If you're working on a sectoral partnership, you could put together a team of 2 or 3, register for the course together, get the discount, and then you've got the benefit of co-learning, so that you don't have to go back to the developers and tell them everything you've learned. They're there learning alongside with you. So, and that applies whether you're a nonprofit working together with a city or vice versa. You can put together teams across organizations as long as they're focused together on a project.
Yeah, thanks. Wonderful advice. Yeah.
Sounds like an exciting project. I hope you take the course so we can learn more from you.
Looking forward to it. Yeah. Thank you.
And we have great expertise at the University of Toronto on TOD. So I hope you contact us regardless.
And if you have any questions, Karen's already said this, as has Gabriela. Please follow up with Gabriela. She is absolutely wonderful. She's kind and generous, and she'll be happy to sit down one-on-one with you in a meeting and discuss your interest in a bit more detail and cover some of the things that we might not have covered off today. All right.
Okay. Great to see you all.